happy for you getting off and me getting on. I don't know. Thank you very much for that presentation, Bob. We are now ready to start our next panel, which is an overview of the humanitarian crises. You've all heard during the course of the day the raw numbers in terms of the number of people that are suffering as a result of the conflict in Ukraine. The overall number is 5 million people in various categories. Quite a human tragedy. In examining what is going on in terms of alleviating that crisis is our panel here this afternoon, and I'm happy to
sort of a short history of the humanitarian situation in Ukraine. The aggression in the East, which started in March of 2014, had as a consequence massive displacement of people fleeing the conflict, searching for security. I came out just a couple of weeks after this started. No one at that time in the Ukrainian government, no one in the international community expected this development. They were not prepared for this development. Ukraine did not have either the resources, the institutions, or the legal framework to address the humanitarian crisis. The people who represented the international community, both UN agencies, international organizations, and NGOs, were there not with the expertise, not with the resources to respond to a humanitarian crisis of this dimension. It took time to respond. Where the first response came from was Ukrainian civil society. Churches, volunteer groups, businesses stepped up and met the needs of these people as they fled west or north or south. The numbers grew rapidly. We had a situation of about 500,000, 600,000 in December when after Minsk won, and people thought maybe it had peaked at that point. And then we had the fighting pick up in December, January, and the numbers doubled. So the displaced were over 1 million people. And we really were playing catch-up ball to respond to this. But as I say, the principal response, I would say in the first 6 months, 85 to 90% of the response was local people, local civil organizations. The GIU itself was preoccupied with the war. It did not respond quickly. It did, with the help of the international community, adopt an international displaced persons law, which was important because it established certain rights, certain benefits for the displaced. Eventually, substantial international assistance began to kick in October and November. But that was important because the winter months were coming, and we had to support these people as the cold weather came, as they needed heating, fuel, support for subsidies for housing, and food and medicines. We got through the winter, in part because it was a mild winter. I don't know what to expect with the coming winter, but I certainly don't expect it to be as mild as it was last year. I'd like to make, before I turn it over to the panels, people who are working on these issues on the ground, make a point that IDPs, 1.5 million of them, are only a small part of the humanitarian problem. Millions of other people are caught in the conflict zone on either side of the line. People who cannot get out, who are living in their basements, who rely on occasional deliveries of humanitarian assistance when it's possible. And the terrible news that Alina mentioned this morning that I heard about 2 days ago is that the separatist authorities in Luhansk and Donetsk have suspended all humanitarian operations by NGOs. They have no way of replacing the assistance that those people are providing. So, it really, sorry to choke up, it's looking like it's going to be a bad one. The other thing I'd mention is that the demography of this displacement. Lots of